wish there was a secret sauce. But I think the key essence of timeless strategies is a very clear and strong purpose that the brand needs to have, which cannot keep changing with every campaign. It needs to stay consistent. And of course, you also need to make sure that you keep changing with times, but don't change the purpose. I would say that would be the key part of a timeless strategy, so to say. So I think absolutely. I think times when times change, you need to adapt yourselves to times, but that does not mean you change the brand. The brand is still there is a reason why the brand came into existence. There's a reason why why people still fall for the brand, why people love the brand. You don't need to keep changing that. What you need to keep changing is how do you actually approach the consumer? How do you use the mediums in a different way? How do you bring technology into that? So it's a bit of keep a few things same and sacred, which is the brand and the essence of it. At the same time, keep changing with the times, which is the medium, the people's preferences, how you reach out to them, bring in technology. So it's a mix of keeping something same and changing a few things. That would be key for me. I think if the brand essence is out from a certain consumer truth, you will always have a certain resonance with the consumers. For example, if you look at Google, the whole purpose is to organize world's information and make it accessible to everyone. Now, this is a unique proposition which will remain there forever, right? The want for information is very high and that will remain there. So the purpose is well entrenched, and that's why, for example, Dove, women and girls appreciating their inner beauty. This is a truth which will be there forever. So the whole essence is based on a strong consumer truth, and I think that makes them be where they are and be a strong brand forever. So it's a difficult question, a hypothetical one to answer, but of course you need to keep moving with times. You need to keep changing with times. You need to keep evolving with times, but at the same time, don't forget your core area. I think anything and everything that you enter into needs to be related to what the core is, and that needs to be an extension of it. For example, the brand Cult Fit. It is everything to do with fitness now. Whether you eat, whether you gym, whatever else, there is a reasonable and a rational extension that they bring. So yeah, extensions are important with times changing, but it still should be rooted in what the essence and the core of the brand is.
Right. So, to begin with, back in the day, there were a lot of brands that just came into the market just to be there. But today, sustainability plays such a big role that we cannot take profit to be larger than social cost. Wherever we are situated, a brand's main function is to make the surrounding, make the environment better, and not just to like earn a bit of profit, make a few cuts in the costs just to get away with things. So I'm from a brand called Impacto, and our motto is, our vision rather, is to inspire the common to be an athlete. Okay, and we've done many sustainable projects like we recycle coffee dust and we put into our shuka soles. Then, of course, the plastic bottle recycle, everyone's doing that now. But the coffee dust thing, recycling plastic and putting it in the sole, we have started that in India. Okay? And also, to change with time, we've created the first smart base tech shoe. It has more accurate step count, all right? And the best part is you do a gesture with your foot, all right, to get away from situations. You can get a fake call from anyone, all right? So this is one of India's, like one of the best tech projects that are out there right now in terms of shoes, all right? And there are features that we've kept for women's safety, as well as we've done map integration, all right? So this is how you evolve with time, basically. Right. So, to begin with, I would say that, these, the brands that actually, strive in Indian markets are mostly Western brands. All right. And that's where India needs to change the perception ki, it's not always that just Western brands are better. All right. We need to give chances to Indian brands and see how it works. Like, okay. So, it is very important, and there are many brands in India that rule the market. All right, very proud of that. All right, but as consumers, all right, we need to give first preference to Indian brands.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. It was a great experience. Thanks to the Indian Express Group and financialexpress.com. You know, as a brand marketer, I can say the only way to have timeless strategies is to be continuously looking at the consumer. If your compass points to the consumer all the time, if the consumer is your pole star, you will discover the truth, and the truth will make you initiate and action better marketing programs. So, as a consumer marketer, as a brand marketer, as a brand builder, the only way to be timeless is to be in the moment and be in the moment with the consumer reality. If you are clear about who your consumer is and what she wants, you will survive and you will thrive. It is critical for a brand to change with time so far as its relevance is concerned. But it is also important for a brand to be constant because consistency is the foundation of branding. So a brand must remain the same and offer the same value, the same service, the same quality, the same context. But at the same time, with the changing environment, with the changing economy, with the changing ways of doing business, it must also continuously upgrade itself and become better and better. So a brand should stay the same, a brand should change only to become better. So trust is again a critical ingredient of building a brand because if you are not trusted, you are not a brand. It's as simple as that. Then you're just a label. A brand is a two-way relationship, and the glue that holds that relationship is trust. You said there are many brands which have earned that trust. I'm proud to say Tata Motors is a brand like that. And I think the simple mantra there is to be transparent and to be ethical. Whenever in doubt, uh, do the right thing. There is no question of being half wise or half smart and trying to situationally exploit the consumer or the market, but lose your trust because you can lose everything. If you retain your trust, you will get everything back again. So I think trust is the most important thing, and those who are mindful that reputation is what sustains a brand, and it takes hundreds of years to build a reputation, and in 5 minutes it can go rolling down. They are very, very conscious of it and they preserve their trust and reputation above all. Well, it depends purely on the category. By and large, brands are well advised to grow and explore more opportunities as that brand, because if you start to mindlessly create variants, brands can get weakened at times. At the same time, portfolios can be created under new brands. Not all brands can stretch across all categories. Again, in this case, Tata as a corporate brand is a very proud institution in India, which cuts across so many industries and so many verticals. There are very few examples like that. But as a brand, if you want to explore new opportunities, provided your brand has the stature to carry into those verticals, you are free to go and try your luck and see if you can grow that business.
So, thanks for Financial Express for inviting me for the conclave. I mean, the session was about eternal brands. And obviously, it is every brand manager's wish list that the brand should be eternal, but the consumer changes every day, right? The consumer changes in terms of brand availability, competition availability, distribution mediums, or use of media like digital, for example. So I think that we have seen more than enough examples, right, of brands in India and abroad which have not tried to change or not changed with the times and how they have faded. I mean, the case studies typically are Xerox, for example, or let's say these digital camera brands which refuse to change and they disappear. So it is super important, I think, that brands keep current in terms of everything: go-to-market strategy, branding, communication, distribution, media choices, with what is the latest happening in terms of competition and what the consumer's aspiration. I don't think there is any secret sauce. I think it is basically that you need to be maniacal about consumer contact and being in touch with the consumer day in and day out. I mean, there is no other way, because if you really understand your consumer, are able to marry that with your own strengths, your own capabilities, you will always succeed in creating great brands. So I guess a brand consumer relationship is like any other human relationship. It's based on trust, and it's based on trust being lost or gained, like a counter. Like we used to have these old tape recorders, which you have to have a counter 1, 2, 3, 4, 500, right? So it's like a counter. So at every interaction, be it in the FMCG space, or one of the people here talked about the automotive space or commercial vehicles, where service also becomes very important. I think the basic thing is that every interaction you have with the consumer, is the interaction leading to a more positive outcome for the consumer in terms of what the consumer expectation was, or a negative outcome. So I think that is how brands have to create the entire thing. So there is no right and wrong answer. I mean, obviously, every brand gets created as a core category. So think of Apple as mobile, and then Apple as others. At the same time, if a brand defines its physical space and not the mental space as very narrow, there's a risk the brand will die, like I mentioned the point on digital cameras, for example, because mobiles took over. Uh, but the important thing is that as you expand your category definition, your brand offering bouquet, what is important is that you are very clear that what is the strength of my brand in the consumer's mind, and the strength of my organization or technology or supply chain to deliver that need. So as long as we will do that, for example, I talk about Ashirwad. Ashirwad is about kitchen ingredients and trust, and Ashirwad is in many kitchen ingredients, like I mentioned, dairy or atta or ghee or stuff like that. But obviously, Ashirwad as a brand may not get as much success if it goes into, let us say, a chocolate, for example. So I think there's no right or wrong answer, but I think it is better to always test the edges, to always look at more categories from a growth perspective, than have a very narrow view of where you want to operate.
That's rightly said, sir, and it was a healthy, insightful discussion. with
Thank you.
I hope you had a great time in the evening.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
And it was a pleasure meeting you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. See you. Thank you.
Thank you. Nice meeting you.
Thank you, Financial Express. Thank you, Brandwagon, for having me here. And it's a great privilege. I'm really grateful and thankful for a brand like yours to post something on brand and strategies and so on and so forth. To answer your question, you know, everything needs to change with time. There is no such particular strategy that if somebody likes something, they'll continue to like it for ages and decades together. We were never exposed to mobile phones. We were only exposed to landline phones. But time changes. We were from, no, we were in olden days, people used to wear a dhoti. From there we went on to trouser and this and that. And see, everything, as a human being, everything, there's something called more than change, I would say transformation. Transformation has always been for good. If you look at some timeless brands, if you look at brands which have been in existence for more than 70, 80, 90 years, even they've also changed with time because the tastes are changing, preferences are changing. And people today in India and today even in the South Asian continents, people are exposed to various other things. So according to me, change is very important but to a large extent change happens for good. So I think we should accept. I wish I could share that with you, but there's nothing called a secret sauce. What happens is, the secret sauce earlier, when there never used to be competition, when there used to be limited brands, when there used to be limited products in a category, brand marketers and people who are creators of the brands had a very simple formula that, A plus B is equal to C. Today in growing, there's so much of proliferation happening. Unfortunately, there's no secret sauce. And today, even most of the brands today, while as taking a cue from the last question, while the brand preferences are changing, while people are exposed to a lot of things, unfortunately, my friend, there's no secret sauce. You have to keep reinventing. In certain cases, it comes by trial and error. In certain cases, it just takes off. See, there are very few brands who have a strong acceptance in the market today. Okay, now if you take, there are so many regional brands, there are so many unorganized brands in most of the states within India. I would say the softer strategy is little whatever I know, the entrepreneur, the brand custodian, the brand owner gets on to the group, gets on to the market. Like for example, in certain places in India, certain places in South India, like for example, somebody who's created the brand knows each and every shopkeeper. And also what happens is there are multiple ways of selling a product, there are multiple ways of holding the brand close to your heart. Certain things become very emotional. Irrespective of whatever the product is, irrespective of whatever the brand is, the brand must have lost on its quality, lost on various other factors. They might not be advertising. Their packaging might still be 100 years old, but we still go for it because we are deeply emotionally connected to the brand. There's nothing as such called software strategy. It's all there in the human mind because our mind is conditioned to certain things, and then we just follow it. But according to me, Yash, there are very few brands in the country today who enjoy such good privileges. See, it depends on category to category, it depends on state to state. Like you take, for example, the southern states, they strongly rely on, what do I say, traditional themes, traditional portfolios. So how much ever there are so many brands today in the country, I'm taking references of a lot of South Indian brands. How much ever they do beyond the traditional thing, the large extent, the offtake of the newer launches happens because you've done traditionally well. According to me, in certain cases, at least in southern part of India, it's very important. It's a very valid question.
absolutely no secret sauce behind creating a timeless strategy. What you really need is to sit down with your team, discuss about how you can go about it, write everything down. It's not that कि आप पहली बार लिखोगे और पहली बार में ही आपको will create that killer campaign. It's never gonna happen. You'll have to write all the things that is possible. You'll have to write all the pros and cons. It's very important. People write pros. Okay, शेख चिल्ली के सपने देखते हैं, ये कर देंगे, 1 लाख का एड रन कर देंगे, 5 लाख की सेल्स आ जाएगी, 2.5 लाख का उस पर वो निकल जाएगा, हम लोग का 5 का रोआ से will make a lot of money. It's not like that. It had been never like that. Okay, if you are starting a D2C brand, if you are running campaigns, what you have to do is you just have to sit down and analyze everything, pros and cons. Then you can make a proper performance marketing campaign. I'll give you a proper example so that you can understand better. When Samsung started, okay, what Samsung was selling in 2000 and what Samsung is selling now is totally different. Check all the electronic store. What they are doing, they are just selling what Samsung is sending to them. Okay, what you have to do is you have to come up with different products according to the market, according to the generation change, according to time, so that you are not left out. Okay, if Samsung sold currently what they sold in 2000, 2005, they would never survive in this market. So it's very important to change your products from time and time again. तो सर मुझे एक बात बताइए, आप अभी भी वो सैमसंग नोकिया का पुराना वाला फोन यूज कर रहे कि नहीं कर रहे? एग्जैक्टली, दैट्स माय पॉइंट. Firstly, you'll have to have a radical transparency with your customers. Let's say Hindustan Unilever, Lakme, how did they survive for so many decades? How do they have such a loyal customer base? Is that they have always been connected with their customers, whether it be online or offline events. They have been always connected to their customer in some or the other way, providing them value. It's not just about making money when you're running a business or starting a company. If you're starting a company just to make money out of it and survive for decades, it's never gonna happen. You'll have to provide value, and that's how you can gain customers trust and keep them as your lifelong clients.